Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news, transfer news and general chit chat show as well. We've got lots of news from David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano today on United. Cucurella bid's gone in. It looks like the Cucurella deal is going to be done, but there's a lot of question marks over, well, okay, yes, Luke Shaw's injured. Yes, a left back is fine and Cucurella's not an awful player, but it's the fact that we can make this move for Cucurella so quickly, but we've needed a midfielder so badly, and we're not making much of a move for midfielder at the moment. As Alex says, what a mess. All sorts of injuries and scrambling last minute yet again. And it seems that United are doing their classic last minute transfer scramble mess as they try and get some deals over the line. But these deals have gone from the likes of Todibo and Amrabat and Gravenberch and McTominay and Maguire going to West Ham to let's get this second goalkeeper in Cucurella in and maybe Højbjerg. It all seems to be this kind of mess. And to make things worse, last week it came out that Luke Shaw's got a major injury. Luke Shaw could be out until Christmas time. Not only is Luke Shaw injured, last week Mason Mount was confirmed to have a 6-week injury, and this week Varane's got a 6-year injury. And it's like injury roulette at the moment at Manchester United. Oh, guys, guess who's going to get injured next week? What player's going to get injured next week? Odds on Martial. The odds on Martial getting injured are probably the highest. But next thing you know, they'll be telling us, Rashford's injured next week. It's like, okay, Mount 1 week, Shaw the week after, Varane the week after. Who wants to get injured next? I'm surprised Martial isn't raging with jealousy that, he's going to have to share his time in the medical room. But, everything at United's a bit of a scramble. And you just think if only we'd got Todibo in, this Varane injury wouldn't be so bad because Todibo is the Varane understudy. If only, we could take a chance on Rio Fernandez, we'd have more funds to probably invest in an attacker and midfielder because despite the injury crisis, I still think our number one priority should be midfield, probably followed by an attacker. I think that some of you guys would agree with me on that. United are in a midfield crisis. United don't look the greatest at the moment, but midfield should be number one priority. And if this Cucurella deal jeopardizes the signing of Amrabat, I'd be very disappointed. Now, reports are coming out from France that Todibo to United is not over yet. Nice Martin, Lequip, very good sources saying that actually there's a chance United could go in for Todibo, which I'm happy with because of the Varane injury. But I'm also like, would I rather sign Todibo or Amrabat? I'd rather sign Amrabat. There is a feeling that United might not go back in for Amrabat. However, Fabrizio Romano has said a few things that make me confident United will do that once their Dean Henderson sale is done as well. But people are saying we're not getting top 4 this season. We'll judge it at the end of the transfer window. But my video on September 2nd will probably be a big fat transfer round, unfortunately, as well. And we have players blocking the midfield, said Chris. But it's like Mount and Mainu are injured. Don't sign midfielder. Luke Shaw's injured. Sign a left back. What is the most frustrating thing for me is that the people that make decisions at Manchester United are so incompetent. That's what's the stressful thing for me. It's the fact that we need to change those people making decisions. When we get new owners in, we need to get proper director of football, proper sporting people, proper recruitment staff, because I feel like it's so obvious what United need. They need a DM, they need a player of this profile, and then the players we get linked to aren't the profile we need. Even the signing of Mason Mount, I like Mason Mount, but I was like, but is Mason Mount the profile we need in midfield when we're struggling with, kind of passing the ball through the phases, retention, control, progressive passer? Frankie de Jong is what we need. Enzo Fernandez is what we need in midfield. Even Matheus Nunes, who's likely to go to Man City, is more what we need in midfield. I don't see where Mason Mount fits in. And it's like, now we want Gravenberch, which I like Gravenberch, but like we should be getting Amrabat and then Gravenberch in his addition. It's like we can all see that Amrabat is what we need. Amrabat should be priority. And Amrabat fits in perfectly at Manchester United. But it's like the board at United don't see that. It's like, well, we can see, we need Amrabat. This guy's perfect. He fits in brilliantly. And it's like the board don't see that. It's like the board going, no, Cucurella's going to solve the problems. And yeah, it's just so frustrating. Varane is frustrating, such a class player, but so fragile, which, that's why I think we needed that centre-back signing as well. And we're shambles in the transfer window. Murta and Arnold need to go. Murta and Arnold aren't good enough at their jobs, but I think we would have Amrabat here right now from what I'm hearing if it wasn't for the Glazers. I think Murta and Arnold actually want Amrabat from what I'm hearing, and it's people even higher up as well. Anthony says, trust me, Man United will end up signing both Højbjerg and Amrabat or Gravenberch and Todibo before Friday. I think we'll end the window with Cucurella a goalkeeper, and I think Amrabat will be done and got over the line. But even though I'm giving up on this Amrabat deal, but I'm trying to hold on to the fact that it is Romano saying that we're interested and other sources saying we're not interested. And most of the time Romano is right, because other sources were saying we're going to get Frankie de Jong and Romano said no, we ain't. And Romano was right on that one. Well, Romano didn't say no, we're not going to get Frankie de Jong, but he said that you know, Frankie de Jong doesn't want to come. You know, that was the question as well. But what about Marcus Leonardo? Again, don't see much moving unless we make some money in sales. I do think once Dean Henderson sold, which will be about tonight or tomorrow, there could be a little bit of movement there as well. But you know, the last few days is such a question mark. That's why I did a video earlier today kind of summing up everything that could happen, because there's about 10 different deals that could happen and only 3 that I think will 100% happen as well. Can't believe we let Hazard slip for 30 million. I can't believe we didn't pay that 40 million Kim Min-jae release clause, people. You know, imagine if we just at the start of the window got Kim Min-jae for 40 million quid. We wouldn't even, well, we would care that Varane got injured, but we wouldn't care as much as we care now that Varane is injured. I want to show you the injury crisis at United, and then I am going to get into the stories on the Cucurella loan bid and everything going on regarding Manchester United. But as you can see here, Varane and Mount are out for 6 weeks, so they will be back sort of end of September, probably October time. Malacia, Shaw, Ahmed and Maino all suffered injuries that are going to put them out for 2 to 3 months. Obviously, 3 of those injuries were suffered quite a while ago. Shaw's is recent. Højlund, we signed him injured. And Martial, you might as well add Martial. Fuck's sake, not the glass over. You might as well add Martial to the injury list. Because there's no doubt in my mind that Martial will probably get injured next week, you know. It's actually mad that we've got about 8 different players injured and not one of them is Anthony Martial. I mean, that is the surprise. That is the surprise story of today. That is the most shocking thing that's come out today. But I said here, it's not even a month into the new season. The squad's looking very thin. UCL games are coming up soon, so Man United need to work quickly and effectively, which we won't do in this transfer window in these final days to get some deals done. People don't realise this. Last season, being in Europa League, we have an opportunity to rest players midweek because some Europa League games you would expect United to win. You'd expect us to win against blah, 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 and blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? Like one of those teams, you expect United to play the youth players and Man United to beat blah, 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 whatever the team's called. In the Champions League, there's not really many sides where you can rest and rotate. There might be like a Club Rouge where you can actually do a little bit of resting and rotating, but nothing strong. We're in the Champions League, so we don't have time to rest and rotate. So our depth is going to be more important now than ever. Teams like Chelsea and teams like Tottenham don't have European football. Chelsea and Tottenham, you know, who are competing for us in the league, could get, you know, into that top 5 because you need top 5 for Champions League now because they don't have European football and they don't have the injury crisis. And United, and I don't think United have thought about this, but actually, you know, if you want to make progress, you know, we need to make sure we sign players for depth because we're in the Champions League. We're not going to be, you know, Chelsea and Tottenham aren't in the Champions League. They're not going to have to worry about that. And when our squad is looking very thin, we could be in trouble for the season. And if we don't qualify for the Champions League this season, we're in Europa League, then it's hard to sign the signings you want to do to rebuild. And then you go back to square one. And then the board, they'll stay, the Glazers will stay, and Ten Hag will be sacked. And people will want Ten Hag sacked because we don't get Champions League football. But sacking Ten Hag won't solve the problems because we'll still have the same board and the same ownership if it's not resolved. And all I'm hoping is that United put some thinking caps on, United put some brains on and go, okay, let's get Amrabat done. Screw it, let's get Todibo done, but maybe split his transfer fee across 5 years so we can sign him without FFP, even if Maguire's staying. Brilliant. Okay, let's see if we can explore maybe doing a Marcus Leonardo on loan for a year with an option to buy at the end of it, and we could give them 20 million if it's good. Maybe we should explore Gift Orban. He's about 18 million pounds. That could be a good option there. Oh, maybe we'll get Cucurella in, who apparently we're going to say a 7 million loan fee for. I know we put in a 2 million bid loan fee, but again, Chelsea will probably reject that because it's United and United tax. You know, we've got 20 million for selling Dean Henderson and for replacements 4.3 million. There is 15.7 million available right now to spend, and that's going to be wasted on Cucurella. Half of that could be wasted on Cucurella, which I just think is mind-boggling when, okay, Lisandro Martinez could play left back and we could get Todibo in. So, you know, left back isn't as needed as much. You've got Delo that can play left back. Malacia will be back in a couple of weeks. Alvaro Fernandez can play left back. It all seems a bit down at United. It all seems like a little bit of a mess, and it is incredibly frustrating as well. Michael says Maguire needs to leave, and it's rude. United made Amrabat wait all summer, upset his relationship with his current club, then not buy him. Maybe Liverpool put him out of his misery. And to be fair, Amrabat really wants United. But if I'm Amrabat and I've been played by Manchester United this badly, I would sit and go, screw Man United. They've messed me around all summer. I've done everything I can. I'll go to Liverpool. You know, that's what Amrabat might even be thinking. But I will show you what I read on Amrabat, actually, because it will come out, actually. And this is something I wanted to get up here. And it was said that Delo can play left back, and Malacia was back in a few weeks, but we're signing Cucurella to make it 3 experienced left backs when Shaw is back in 2 months, while having only one natural DM in Casemiro, and our midfielders being outplayed. I mean, I can't get my head around the fact that we've not made a bid for Amrabat yet. We've made a bid for Cucurella. We made a bid for Cucurella in about 2 days, but we haven't made a bid for Amrabat yet. And it's like, well, do United actually want Amrabat? Because some sources are saying actually the Amrabat rumour is all exaggerated by Italian media, but then yes, Fabrizio Romano is Italian, but I just think, well, Fabrizio Romano wouldn't say that we agreed personal terms with a player 2 months ago. Surely, if we weren't going to sign them, surely we want this player. Surely there's a reason he's training alone and jeopardising his career. Surely he's had phone calls and conversations with United to say this move's going to go through. But then you see us making offers for a defender and not making offers for Amrabat, and you're thinking, well, what's going on? The only thing I will say, and Fabrizio Romano said this, is that there's a feeling that Real Sociedad are going to do a deadline deal for Donny van de Beek. And, there's always been a suggestion that Amrabat's dependent on Donny van de Beek. And maybe if when Donny van de Beek's deadline day deal is done, the Amrabat deadline day deal will be done. I mean, that is the potential feeling as well. But Amrabat is very much waiting for United, but reports are coming out saying he's frustrated. It was said that Amrabat is actually mentally affected by the transfer situation. He's stuck at Fiorentina where he doesn't want to be after being promised that Erik ten Hag will move to United. And this is the interesting thing, is Erik ten Hag's literally promised Amrabat he will move to United. So if we don't sign Amrabat, this is not on Erik ten Hag. This is on the board. This is on actually the Glazers. Erik ten Hag had so many conversations with Amrabat and promised him, I will bring you to United, you just got to wait. So that's why Amrabat is essentially jeopardising his career. And if we don't bring on Amrabat, you've got to take some question marks and some looks at the board and go, well, actually, this isn't to do with Erik ten Hag. He's told Amrabat he's coming in. It's people higher up at Manchester United that are almost saying, let's not make us move for Amrabat. Let's look at Højbjerg. And while there's a rumour coming out today that Manchester United are going to make an offer for Højbjerg, I'm not worried about it. It was said that Manchester United will be looking to sign Højbjerg, but Amrabat is £21 million. Højbjerg is £35 million. What do United like? The cheaper option. If Man United can't pay 21 million for Amrabat, why would they pay 35 million for Højbjerg, who was worse and more expensive? I'm not too worried about that situation. But again, the fact that we're linked and looking at Højbjerg when we just know that we've agreed personal terms of Amrabat for 2 months and Ten Hag wants Amrabat and Amrabat wants to move, you're like, oh, United not going to go for Amrabat, or is this a game? Because before we signed Mason Mount and before we put in a proper bid for Mason Mount, we went and said we were going for Moises Caicedo. We never did. Before we signed Onana, we went and made out stories we were going for the Feyenoord keeper. We never did. Before we signed Højlund, we made out stories that were going for Kolo Muani of Eintracht Frankfurt. We never did. Maybe this Højbjerg situation is maybe some kind of tactic to scare Fiorentina into going, yeah, we'll go lower the Amrabat price for you. You never know. There's a few question marks about what the reason behind that could be as well. Anthony says, I'm sure that these injuries are made up in order to force the Glazers' hands to sign more players. I wish so. Do you know what was worrying, though, is the fact that McTominay and Casemiro both seemed to look almost injured in that Nottingham Forest game. And they're not injured as far as I'm aware. Casemiro's not injured. McTominay's not injured, but they looked like they were playing with something like they were holding in that Forest game. And had Casemiro and McTominay been injured, do you think United would make that move for Amrabat? Probably not as well. We have got some stories on Tagliafico. There's a lot of stories today saying that Manchester United are advancing for a move for Tagliafico. United is set to sign Tagliafico. And the only reason I've not really discussed the Tagliafico news is because we've now put in a bid for Amrabat. So despite reports coming out right now, and today, all day, there's been loads of reports coming out that United are going in for Tagliafico this, Tagliafico that. There's so many reports coming out about United's interest in Tagliafico. The only reason I've not really given it much attention is because I'm like, well, we've made a bid for Cucurella. So the fact we've made a bid for Cucurella says to me, I don't think United are going to do much for Tagliafico as well. Amrabat is the needed player, says Michael Jones. I agree. Smash the like button if you want Amrabat in. A Mount should have been the one we dragged out and delayed things. Yeah, his profile wasn't a priority. I agree. We got the Mount deal done right away when he wasn't a priority. And the actual signings we do need to do, we're delaying as well. New owners ASAP is needed, absolutely as well. I'm just going to scroll down the live chat, so please do smash that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Varane is injured and expected to be out for 6 weeks. Højbjerg is crap. I mean, let me know your thoughts. Gravenberch, Højbjerg, Onana, Amrabat. For me, the priority should be Amrabat and only Amrabat. But you know, United might go and switch from Amrabat to Højbjerg, which makes no sense to me other than, oh, he's Premier League proven, but again, that doesn't make sense. This is the news on Tagliafico. It was said that Manchester United are advancing for Nicolas Tagliafico. United have offered a loan deal in the next few hours, which will be key. This was obviously a report coming out right now, and the reason I'm not giving this report too much attention is because Fabrizio Romano and David Ornstein have all come out since and said, no, like United are in for Cucurella. Cucurella is top of Manchester United's list. Cucurella to Manchester United is the most advanced and all of that. So despite obviously reports coming out suggesting that United are very much in for Tagliafico, I believe it is Cucurella. And do you want Alvaro facing Saka this weekend? I would play Delo inverted. I really do like Alvaro Fernandez, but to play your first ever match, professional top Premier League match for Man United against Saka would be a massive challenge. I mean, we've seen it happen in times where you've had to play an inexperienced player against a top player and they've done well. But for me, I mean, Luke Shaw always struggled versus Saka, so it's not quite the end of the world that Luke Shaw's injured for this one. But I'd probably play Delo inverted, and then I would try Alvaro the later games. Because as much as I like Alvaro, I think it would be cruel to give him his first game against Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka's just like a different gravy. It's also been said that Gravenberch would have been good signing, but because it didn't work out for Van der Beek, there's always that fear. I wish we had both Amrabat and Gravenberch. In an ideal world, Man United signed both Amrabat and Gravenberch. That's the thing. If we were smart, if we were good at transfers, if we were good at transfer business, I think we'd have Amrabat and Gravenberch in like that, bish, bash, bosh. But unfortunately, we're not smart. We're not good at transfer business. The way I see it is Fred's gone. Amrabat should be a replacement for Fred. I don't know why we're saying Fred and Donny have to go for us to sign Amrabat. It was always Fred has to go, Man United will sign Amrabat. Now it's Fred and Donny have to go, we'll sign Amrabat. Amrabat should be the out-and-out replacement for Fred because we cannot go into this season having not replaced Fred. We don't have a Fred replacement yet. Mason Mount is not a Fred replacement. Mason Mount's just a bit of a replacement, if anything, and an upgrade on Eriksen because of the energy. Man United have not replaced Fred. Man United need a player like Fred. Man United are missing that, and Man United haven't signed that, and Man United like actively making no effort to do that, and it's absolutely mind-boggling, people. Absolutely mind-boggling because Amrabat is exactly 100% what Manchester United need. And then if we can get rid of McTominay and we can get rid of Donny van der Beek, Gravenberch should be the addition to that. It should be signing both players, but weirdly, it's not signing both players. Continuing on, people as well, it was obviously said on Cucurella here from David Ornstein that Man United have submitted a proposal to sign Marc Cucurella from Chelsea. Chelsea responded, talks ongoing, offer as an initial loan, plus clubs discussing various parameters around that. Manchester United, like the 25-year-old, the Ten Hag system, a top candidate as things stand. Now, will Cucurella be a good signing? He's an average player. He was all right at Brighton. He was all right at Barcelona. He's not a bad player. He has been poor at Chelsea. What I will say about Cucurella is he's a Barcelona graduate. He was a crucial player for Brighton when it comes to things like build-up play. So that will definitely help United. And I don't think he's necessarily a bad player. But when we're talking about a potential 7 million loan fee that Chelsea are asking for and holding out for, I think that is ridiculously crazy. Would I take Cucurella on a cheap loan deal if it doesn't affect the Amrabat deal? 100%, of course I will. Do I want Cucurella on some kind of expensive deal? No. For me, he's not worth it. That was my honest opinion on that situation as well. Continuing on as well, keep smashing the like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Man United are the worst team of all time. We're not the worst team of all time, but we are one of the most incompetent teams when it comes to the transfer window and getting business done. It is absolutely infuriating as well. We agreed personal terms with Cavard. Now he's going to Inter, and that's the worrying thing. We had personal terms agreed with Pavard. We had personal terms agreed with Amrabat. Could Amrabat do the same and go, you know what, United? I'm not waiting, and Amrabat goes adios to someone else. There's always a possibility. Personal terms are agreed for Amrabat, but personal terms were agreed for Pavard, and Pavard is at Inter, which, yes, is definitely a worrying thing. David Ornstein did say breaking United have submitted a bid for Cucurella, and Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that there are negotiations ongoing now between Manchester United, Chelsea and Marc Cucurella. Fabrizio Romano has come out and said that United's opening bid for Marc Cucurella is a loan offer with an excess of 2 million, but Chelsea are demanding more and talks are ongoing to make it happen. Cucurella would like to join United, says Romano, but The Athletic and Laurie Whitwell are saying that Chelsea are asking Manchester United for £7 million to sign Marc Cucurella on loan, which I think is an absolute farce. And Romano has come out and said that United will not advance on any other left-back until they're in talks on Marc Cucurella. United are confident they're going to reach an agreement with Chelsea, and Cucurella will be a done deal. United are confident Cucurella will be a done deal. Although there's been links to Rico Henry, although there's been links to Tagliafico, Fabrizio Romano has confirmed in his own words United aren't going to advance for any other left-back signing until that Cucurella situation is resolved. Now, I think Chelsea are reportedly going to reject our opening bid for Cucurella and probably mug us off into bidding more for Cucurella. But the interesting thing that Fabrizio Romano points out is the fact that, United are now only focused on Cucurella. Cucurella is the only signing that United are focused on. And obviously, United are reportedly set to announce all tape A and D tomorrow, as long as Dean Henderson's Crystal Palace medical goes through. Now, I've got a story for you people. I've got some interesting news coming out that you might find quite interesting. And it has been said, a few people are saying around the United space, a few stories going around the United space is that, although Amrabat's very quiet and it's a lot frustrating with Amrabat, the feeling is that Dean Henderson's sale announcement will be tomorrow. Dean Henderson has completed his Crystal Palace medical. His sale announcement will be tomorrow. And there's a few words going around United that actually the funds we get from Dean Henderson will allow us to get Amrabat. And that, there is a rumour and there are feelings that despite reports are coming out that, Man United aren't making a move for Amrabat and they don't want Amrabat and they're looking at Højbjerg now, there's actually a feeling once Dean Henderson's sold, United will go for Amrabat, and that United have actually communicated with Amrabat. Man United have communicated with Amrabat in his camp. Once a player's sold, we go for you. Dean Henderson's going to be sold, then we go for you. And a lot of people are saying Amrabat wouldn't be training alone. He wouldn't be doing this. He wouldn't be doing that. He wouldn't be trying to force his way out of Fiorentina for Man United if he never thought United were going to go in for him. United have clearly had some communication with Amrabat to say, we are going to go in for you. Amrabat agreed personal terms to join United 2 months ago. Amrabat is waiting for United. And the feeling is now that Dean Henderson is effectively sold, when that is announced tomorrow, that could be United's trigger to go boom, straight in, straight out for Amrabat. And that is the feeling that is what's going to happen. United are going to go straight out for Amrabat then. So hopefully that is the case. And hopefully we do get some stories on Amrabat tomorrow. So do subscribe down below if you're new, guys, because there is a strong feeling and a lot of decent reports coming out saying, look, Man United are actually going to make an official move for Amrabat tomorrow. Amrabat to United is set to advance tomorrow. So hopefully that is the case. So do subscribe because in case we get some stories on that. But there is also reports coming out from France that United have opened up exploration for Todibo again. Now, I'm not sure if these reports coming out right now in France saying that Man United are backing for Todibo again. It's just because Varane's injured and they're being reactionary. It would be brilliant. Todibo's injured. Varane's injured. Man United go right in for Todibo. Nice, Martin, L'Equipe all suggesting with Varane's injury, United are going for Todibo, but these aren't like reliable sources. So I think, Varane's injured, all of a sudden, an hour and a half later, French reports are saying we're going back in for Todibo, we're exploring that deal. That just seems too good to be true. I don't trust United to be so organised that as soon as Varane's injured, they go, yeah, we're going to sign Todibo, when the reason we didn't sign Pavard is because we didn't have the funds to sign him because Maguire wasn't sold. Ten Hag's first choice was Kim Min-jae, his second choice was Pavard, his first choice was Todibo. Varane injury or not, I don't think that Ten Hag would go for his third choice if you couldn't get his second or first choice for the same price. Kim Min-jae was 40 million release clause, Pavard was 30 million, Todibo's 35 million. I think Todibo is dependent on if Maguire is sold or not. So I think that although Varane's injured and reports are coming out that United did go in for Todibo and United plan to sign Todibo now, I'd be sceptical on that. We'll have to see what the British media say. I just can't see us doing that unless we sell someone because, Ten Hag's number one priority was Kim Min-jae. He was a 40 million bid away. United actually had some kind of contractual agreement with Kim Min-jae reportedly. And actually Kim Min-jae's preference was United over Bayern. And then obviously United had to say to Bayern, we can't guarantee you we're going to trigger your release clause. Sorry, not Bayern. United went to Napoli and said, we can't guarantee we're going to trigger the Kim Min-jae release clause, which is why he went to Bayern. So I think the fact that we couldn't make a bid for Kim Min-jae because we had Maguire here and we couldn't make a bid for Pavard because we had Maguire here, I don't think we're going to make a bid for Todibo, even though Maguire's still here. Even if Varane's still here with Varane's injury, just because it's not how United operate. But there are reports in Spain, not reports in Spain, reports in France saying that United are going to go back in for a centre-back with Todibo top of the list. So we'll see where that advances as well. We've got some news on McTominay to buy that we want to get into in a sec. Someone said we need new owners and get a sporting director, 100%. But whoever the new owners are, whenever they come in, hopefully it's Qatar, they need to make sure one of their first things they do, one of their number one priorities is bringing in a sporting director. I cannot deal with, just the way we operate in the transfer market. It is not good enough. The way we operate in the transfer market is not good enough. We have players that would be brilliant signings to United. We have players that would be great players to United. We have players that I look at and I'm like, that is exactly what Manchester United need. This player is what Man United need. That player's what Man United need. Man United should look at that player. Man United should look at that player. And then all these players are like on paper, which is perfect for United. Yes, let's get this player. Yes, let's get that player. That player would be brilliant for United. United don't seem interested. United are like, nah, don't want a bit of this player. These players that are average, like Højbjerg, Cucurella, all of a sudden United are going in for. We see Amrabat on paper. Amrabat's what we need. Højbjerg, Cucurella is what Man United think we need. And it's so frustrating. And I think one of the most important things that Manchester United can do, come new ownership, is actually get a proper recruitment team, because this is no disrespect to Erik ten Hag, but I also don't trust Erik ten Hag's talent ID. I like Erik ten Hag, but Erik ten Hag's talent ID is players he's worked with. And I think the reason Erik ten Hag's talent ID is players he's worked with is because he doesn't trust Murta and Arnold. I don't think Erik ten Hag has a big obsession with players he's worked with or players he almost signed at Ajax. But I think Erik ten Hag, he was used to having Mark Overmars and Van der Sar and a really good structure around him at Ajax. So I think Erik ten Hag now is at United and he knows the structure around transfers isn't as good at United, and United aren't brilliant at making decisions, when it comes to transfers and stuff. I think Erik ten Hag is more looking at the whole situation at United and sort of going, well, I'm going to have to go with players that I know or Ajax would have got because I don't trust Murta and Arnold. I think that's a big part of it. I think ten Hag's talent ID has been questionable because everyone we seem to sign, he almost signed at Ajax. He wanted when he was at Ajax, or he's played with, or coached. But I think, a big part of that is Erik ten Hag wants familiarity because maybe he doesn't trust the higher ups at United to do their job. But the problem with Erik ten Hag wanting familiarity is actually, Erik ten Hag is a fantastic manager and he should have an idea of the type of player he wants to sign, but it isn't Erik ten Hag's job to find that player. Man City knew they needed a DM because Fernandinho had 2 years left on him, and they went and scouted Rodri. Pep Guardiola was a fan of Rodri when Rodri was spoken about, but Man City went out and made sure they got that DM that would have done what ten Hag wanted, and they saw that in Rodri. Casemiro's arguably losing his legs and probably got 1-2 years left in him. But the thing is, we won't replace Casemiro until he's in a wheelchair. And that's one of the reasons I think United are behind rivals is Fernandinho had 2 years left in him. They bring in Rodri. Casemiro has 2 years left in him. He doesn't even have a backup. And if he has a backup, you can prolong Casemiro because I think he's one of those players that will be good when he plays once a week, but drop off when he plays twice a week. But it's like, surely we should be looking at a DM to come in next season. Just why Casemiro is in his final years. Real Madrid obviously sold Casemiro in the end, but they brought in Tchouaméni and they were going to sort of mix Casemiro and Tchouaméni around. And I think United, if they were a top side, they would have a backup DM because McTominay is not a DM. And although Bayern Munich want to sign him as a DM, brilliant. And we will get into that because there's some more reports coming out from Germany about McTominay to Bayern. It's the fact that we need a DM, we need a second DM, and it's like, we need someone that could maybe play so we can rotate Casemiro. We need someone that could play next to Casemiro. There's Amrabat there for 21 million. And then the board are like, well, come on, let's have a look at Højbjerg. Let's see what Højbjerg's saying. And it makes no sense. And look, Man United are in total panic. Man United look to be in total panic mode at the moment. And that is the worrying thing about the transfer window as well. Keep smashing the likes, people. Of course, do subscribe down below if you're new and share the video. If you are Glazers out, smash that like button as well. Hisoka said we should sell Van der Beek. Well, this is the frustrating thing. Donny Van der Beek wants to go, and Donny Van der Beek's not like Maguire. Donny Van der Beek will happily take a wage cut to leave United. Donny Van der Beek isn't doing a Harry Maguire where there's an offer for him and he's refusing to leave. Eric Bailly, there's an offer for Eric Bailly. Eric Bailly is refusing to leave. There's an offer for Donny Van der Beek, but it wasn't an official offer. United didn't accept that. There was an offer for Maguire. He refused to leave. Donny Van der Beek wants to go. Donny Van der Beek is more than happy to cut his wages because Donny Van der Beek just wants to play regular football at Manchester United. And Donny Van der Beek is more than happy to leave Manchester United. Real Sociedad are the ones mucking about on that. Yes, Donny's got high wages. Yes, United want to see if they can get 15, 20 million. Real Sociedad are like, well, we only want to get Donny Van der Beek on loan because of his high wages. So we're going to submit a deadline day loan bid for Donny Van der Beek. So Donny Van der Beek wants to go. Donny Van der Beek's uncertain about his future. Erik ten Hag's dropped him from the squad because he knows Donny wants to go. But we can't seem to sell Donny because if we've not played him in so long, there's little options out there and he's got quite high wages. So Donny Van der Beek wants out. Donny Van der Beek will accept an offer, but United haven't got an offer for Donny Van der Beek. Maguire and Eric Bailly, we did get offers for. The players refused to leave. So again, the whole out situation at Manchester United is infuriating because we kind of need Donny to go to get Amrabat over the line, but we can't seem to get rid of Donny. And they're saying that, Real Sociedad are going to go back in on deadline day for Donny Van der Beek. But it's like, why are you going back in on deadline day for Donny Van der Beek? Why can't they go back in today for Van der Beek? We're playing this game with Amrabat, wait. And Sociedad are playing this game with Donny Van der Beek, wait. Cucurella loan deal isn't the end of the world, but not sure. He is a big club footballer. He even said he didn't like the pressure of big clubs. Exactly, like Cucurella, and it's not the end of the world. If it doesn't affect the Amrabat deal, I don't have a big problem with Cucurella, but I think the 7 million loan fee for Cucurella, it just makes absolutely no sense. And for me, it's like, okay, if it doesn't affect the Amrabat deal, fine. But I believe that it probably will affect the Amrabat deal because that's just how United operate as well. Amrabat is good and underrated. That's why I know United won't sign him. Do you know what the worst part about being a United fan? It's all these good players that are available for a good price, that are positions that we need. We just don't seem to do. I'm like, this player will be good. He's available for a good price. This is the signing we need to do. And then United just don't go out and do these kind of signings when I'm like, well, this is the exact signing that United need to do. This is the kind of player United need to sign him. And we just don't seem to go out and sign those kind of players. And yeah, it's just so frustrating, people, isn't it, as well? It has come out and said that it has come out, by the way, from David Ornstein saying that Cucurella is Manchester United's #1 left-back priority, and that Cucurella, depending on the Chelsea situation and if Chelsea accept the bid or not, is probably the most likely scenario as well. But the interesting thing is a Lindelof, Martinez, Cucurella, Wan-Bissaka back four is probably not the ideal back four that you want to see at United. It's not a back four that I go, poor, that's what we need. Poor, look at that back four. Oh, that would be a good back four. I look at that back four and I go, well, actually, that's a particularly worrying back four as well. It's the end of the world because we'll probably pay Chelsea a 10 million loan fee for the rubbish. And that's the worrying thing. It's Cucurella should be a £2-3 million loan fee. But the worrying thing is it feels like Man United will do something stupid and pay Chelsea a 10 million loan fee, which I think absolutely makes no sense. Why on earth would we even think of paying Chelsea a 10 million loan fee for Cucurella? I don't know as well. And we've also got more news stories coming out about Bayern Munich and Scott McTominay. So I want to get into this story on Scott McTominay because really interesting news is coming out on Scott McTominay here. And it was said by United Report that Bayern Munich are very interested in Scott McTominay, and Man United would be willing to negotiate 35 to 40 million asking price for McTominay. There's an exciting indication that it will happen. Reports in Germany are still coming out and suggesting that McTominay is going to leave. And now German reports aren't like Italian reports. I think Italian reports have a reputation of over-exaggerating news. Italian reports have a big reputation of basically saying, oh, this is going to happen and doesn't happen, or that's going to happen and doesn't happen. German reports are generally pretty reliable, and German reports from reliable sources are basically saying, look, Bayern really want McTominay. Bayern are working on a McTominay deal. Like, there's an exciting indication that will happen. So the only thing is that I can say is if there is any movement on the Scott McTominay situation in the coming days, that would be really good and interesting to see, because lots and lots of sort of sources in Germany are indicating that something is going to happen for Scott McTominay. And I think, for me, I think despite the midfield being thin and us lacking midfielders, if we can sell McTominay and that gives us the funds to bring in another midfielder, then I'm absolutely all for it. I think, our #1 priority right now should be looking at selling Scott McTominay, because if you sell Scott McTominay, I reckon we can make about 30 million in funds I think we can make about 40 million in funds just from selling Scott McTominay. And then I think that gives Manchester United the capability to bring in Amrabat and Gravenberch. And if Amrabat and Gravenberch replace McTominay and Fred, that's great. But again, if we're selling McTominay to replace him with Højbjerg, then that's the worrying thing. It's like, cool, McTominay to buy him, brilliant. Let's sell McTominay. Let's get some funds from McTominay, brilliant. Perfect. Okay, United are going to sell McTominay. United are going to get funds from McTominay. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. And then you see, okay, United are going to sell McTominay. United are going to get funds from McTominay. And then they might replace him with Højbjerg. Then you're like, less brilliant. If McTominay is replaced with Onana, if McTominay is replaced with Gravenberch, fantastic. But again, the one thing about United is when we sell players, you've also got to go, well, how are United planning to replace these players? How will United plan to replace McTominay? How will United plan to replace this player? How will United plan to replace that player? Because, at the moment, we just don't seem to be very good at actually, when we sell a player, finding a good and appropriate replacement for them as well, which I think, again, is a very worrying thing as well. Do you honestly think Amrabat is coming? And honestly, I don't know. I think I get asked on this Amrabat situation a fair bit, and I just don't know at this rate, because I'm like, surely it's such an obvious deal. The player is fighting for the move. He's at such a bargain price, and we need this player so badly. I just can't get my head around the fact that Manchester United haven't made a bid for Amrabat. It makes no sense that we haven't made a bid for Amrabat. It's like, well, maybe we don't want him because I can't understand at all why we wouldn't even make a bid, why we wouldn't even make an offer for Amrabat when it's such a bargain. So yeah, part of me thinks, okay, maybe we're not in for Amrabat, maybe it's not going to happen. But then the other part of me goes, Amrabat wouldn't be doing all this to get his Man United move if he'd not had some indication from Ten Hag on the board that they were going to bid. I think that Man United I think that Ten Hag, the Manchester United board, want Amrabat, and because that's what Romano's saying. United 100% want Amrabat. He's 100% the midfield priority, despite the Højbjerg links. You know, Fabrizio Romano, all the tier one sources are saying United 100% want Amrabat. Amrabat is the priority. So when the tier one sources saying we want Amrabat is the priority, I think, okay, we do want Amrabat. The fact that he's waiting says to me that I reckon Man United and the board have had conversations with Amrabat to say we make a bid for you. It's just complicated on sales. And I believe that maybe United are dragging it out because United like to drag out deals to try and see if they can save money because Fiorentina have the replacement. So I believe that Amrabat wouldn't be kicking up this much of a fuss if United weren't interested in him. I believe that Amrabat believes United are interested in him. Otherwise, I don't think he'd be picking up this much of a fuss to kind of force his Manchester United move through. So in regards to the Amrabat situation, I think that United are in through him, and I think it's just on the Glazers. I think it's Ten Hag wants him. The board wants him. I think the whole situation with Amrabat is the Glazers aren't releasing the funds for Amrabat until someone is sold. Now, the question is, with Dean Henderson being sold today, surely that could pretty much bring in or maybe confirm Amrabat tomorrow. Hopefully that would be the situation on that. But I think Amrabat is all about, from what I'm hearing and actually what I've heard from people, sort of sources that I have, it's not about Ten Hag, it's not about Murtough, it's not about Arnold. It is about the Glazers. Ten Hag, Murtough and Arnold want Amrabat. He is top of Man United's midfield list. There's been a lot of communication with United and Amrabat. Di Marzio even said a couple of days ago that Man United went to Fiorentina to tell them that they are still in for Amrabat. And that was said by Di Marzio, a very, very reliable and credible source, saying United, you know, having conversations with Fiorentina saying, you know, we want Amrabat, we will go in for Amrabat. And when that comes out from a top tier source as well, I think, okay, perfect. So I think really, from what I'm hearing, you know, we do generally want Amrabat, and I think we want him to come, but I think it is about sales, because the people higher up at United and inside sources suggesting this is that actually it's the Glazers that have got the plug on the Amrabat deal. It's not Murtough, it's not Arnold, it's not Ten Hag. Ten Hag does want this guy. Romano said yesterday Ten Hag 100% wants Amrabat, even though Samuel Luckhurst and the Muppeteers were coming out saying that actually United don't want Amrabat, they'd rather have Højbjerg. I think that's a negotiation game, because Samuel Luckhurst is United PR. Samuel Luckhurst is United negotiations. When United want to sign a player, just before they're going to make a bid or just before they sign that player, they then link themselves to loads of other targets. Just before we signed Sancho, we were in for Ousmane Dembele. Just before we signed Mount, we apparently weren't in for Mount anymore, and we've gone for Caicedo. Just before we signed, of course, Højlund, we were saying we were going for Koulibaly instead. Just before we signed Onana, we were saying that we wanted to get that Feyenoord keeper, Justin Biljo, whatever he's called. I think it might be, hopefully, Højbjerg, this rumour, this link, to sort of, you know, play a game with Fiorentina. But at the same time, why are United going to Fiorentina and saying, we are going to come for Amrabat, just wait? It's so confusing at the moment. And I think it's really, from what I'm hearing, it is just the Glazers. It is basically, once a sale happens, Amrabat will happen, and the sale is expected to happen, and everything's being delayed by United's lack of confidence when it comes to outgoings. United are not very good at outgoings, dealing with outgoings, very incompetent in the market, and that seems to be what's causing all of the delays, unfortunately. There is a feeling they are exploring, obviously, players like Gravenberch on loan, Højbjerg, Onana, but again, as Romano said, Amrabat is still the priority. So I generally do believe that the Amrabat deal will happen if the sales happen. And I think the fact that Dean Henderson's essentially sold, unless we're going to be silly enough to pay a 10 million loan fee for Cucurella, I generally believe that Amrabat deal will happen. And I can't see us paying a 10 million loan fee for Cucurella or 7 million loan fee. It makes no sense, you know. But when do Man United do things that make sense as well? Keep smashing the likes, people. Let's see if we can hit 300 likes by the end of the live stream. So do hit that like button if you haven't already as well. The board should pressure the Glazers then, says Marcus. I agree. The board need to put more pressure on the Glazers as well. And clearly a club official gave Amrabat an indication. Otherwise, why would he have not taken any of the numerous offers he had on the table? Exactly. This is the thing with the Amrabat deal. Clearly United or an official or Ten Hag's had some kind of communication with Amrabat to say, look, we're going to come for you. We're going to make a bid for you. La-di-da, la-di-da, la-di-da. Because Amrabat wouldn't be jeopardising his career, rejecting Liverpool, rejecting Juventus, rejecting Atletico Madrid, rejecting Napoli, rejecting ridiculous wages from Saudi Arabia, because he's like, I want United and only United. And while it's really admirable that Amrabat has made it clear he wants United and only United, he's been offered higher wages from Saudi clubs. Liverpool would have matched our wage offer. Juventus would have matched our wage offer. It's absolutely brilliant to see that Amrabat is rejecting Liverpool, Atletico, Juventus, Napoli, these big Saudi offers because he wants United and he's focused on United. And I'm like, yes, thank you, Amrabat. This is lovely stuff. And it really wants United. And I think that is what makes this whole situation more frustrating, because we've got a player that is dying to play for us. And you know what? We haven't had that in a while. I think sometimes in the past, players have come to United and you're like, oh, are they coming to United for that big paycheck? Are they coming to United for, you know, the money? And it's like, well, this player wants to play for United. He loves United. He wants to work with Ten Hag. He's sold that United's the club he wants to go to. We've got a player that wants to come to us, not someone that's coming to us, someone that wants to come for us, someone that's hungry to play for us. And I think, you know, in these opening games of the season, apart from the Forest game where we had that brilliant comeback, United have lacked that hunger. This United team has really lacked that hunger. Where's the hunger I'm used to seeing from this United team? It's absolutely lacked. And Amrabat would come and bring that hunger. We need a backup DM for Casemiro. You can't get through a whole season when you're playing Champions League football, playing 50-plus games with one DM, especially when that one DM is aging and not in the best form. And this is the worst thing. The player wants to come. You know, we've told the player we're going to bid for him. I think if we don't sign Amrabat, it's criminal. Because Amrabat could be at Liverpool right now. You know, Cody Gakpo went to Liverpool because he didn't trust United. And maybe Cody Gakpo was right to do that. We're particularly untrustworthy. But this also is a big blow, because the way I see it is, if we've told Amrabat to wait all window, reject all these clubs and we're going to come for him, and we don't end up signing Amrabat, and then we try and do this for someone in January, we try and do this for someone in the summer, they're going to say, why should I wait for you when I've got loads of offers and you never ended up getting Amrabat? Why should I trust you? I also think this will be a big blow on United if they don't get Amrabat, because the whole world is watching. The whole world knows United have promised Amrabat this deal. You know, this is not a lie. Fabrizio Romano said United 100% want Amrabat. He's above Onana. He's above Højbjerg. He's at the top of the list. United officials have had conversations with Amrabat and his agent to ensure them this is what they want to do. So if they don't get Amrabat, and they've promised Amrabat all of this, and he's rejected all these clubs for United, that says to me, well, no one's going to wait for us in the future. And we're a club that operates slow, and we need player trust to wait for us, because we don't do things quickly. And I wish we did do things quickly as well. People say Gravenberch permanent. Well, Gravenberch is still dependent on Bayern Munich. I did a video on that earlier today. The whole Gravenberch situation is not down to United. It's down to Bayern Munich. If we can get Gravenberch on loan, I think they get him tomorrow, because United can do loan deals. They don't want to do permanent deals, but it's all about Bayern Munich right now with Gravenberch as well. Saeed says, I hope this might save our season and get us top four. Reguilon on loan, Felix on loan, Amrabat, Todibo and Gravenberch on loan. Or we're screwed. I mean, Saeed, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice if United got Amrabat, Felix, and Cucurella, or one of the left backs on loan? United actually, if we got Tagliafico, Amrabat, and if we got Tagliafico, Gravenberch, and João Felix on loan, that would be fantastic. If we can sign Amrabat, that would be fantastic. If we can sign Todibo, that would be fantastic. We probably do need 5 additions. It's crazy to think we finished third last season. We won a trophy, and we had such a fantastic season last season. We've signed 3 players, and we're still sitting there saying we need at least 5 more signings, because I think one of the players we signed wasn't the right profile, which I don't like to be horribly negative, but I will still stick to my word. I don't think Mason Mount was the right profile. But it does sound negative, but I'm looking at the situation and saying we signed this player, we signed that player, we did this signing, we did that signing. But actually, we still need about 5 more signings. It feels like we're in this big mess and we still need 5 more signings as well. Tan says we never learn. Chelsea rejects never work. I know. We see Chelsea like to give Man United and Arsenal all their rejects, and it's not working. And the only thing I will say is Mason Mount was 55 million. Kai Havertz was 65 million. Mason Mount is a better player than Kai Havertz. So at the end of the day, just think, imagine if Ten Hag would spend 65 million on Kai Havertz. Because honestly, I actually partly want Kai Havertz to work out at Arsenal, just because I feel sorry for the player and the abuse he gets. But at the same time, I don't get him as well. Now, someone has done a pros and cons about sort of Manchester United signing Højbjerg. And I have to say there are more cons than pros, which is the worrying thing. And news. Look, you're going to love this story, guys. Wait, let me just read it first. I think that we've got some good news that's just come out. Ready? Okay, so I'll give context to it. So it's just come out here saying Virgil van Dijk has been charged with a breach of FA Rule E.31 following Liverpool's league game against Newcastle United. It's alleged that the defender acted in an improper manner and or used abusive or insulting words towards match official. And you might be going, Alice, why are you going, oh? Like, why are you like going, like Nessa and Gavin and Stacey? Why are you hyping this up? Well, I tell you why, because I'm pretty sure if you breach this rule and if he has been charged, which it said he's been charged, his 1 match ban for denying the goal scoring opportunity will go into a 4-match ban. So Virgil van Dijk might be getting a 4-match ban for Liverpool, which, although I don't think we play Liverpool in the next 4 matches, I know he hasn't been great for Liverpool, but Liverpool will have to go in against Villa without Van Dijk, and Villa are a good side. Wolves without Van Dijk, they'll probably be fine. West Ham without Van Dijk, and Tottenham without Van Dijk. Liverpool's next 4 games are Aston Villa, which is difficult, Wolves, which they'll be fine, West Ham, they've had a great start the season, and Tottenham, well, Tottenham teared our defence apart, and then after that, they've got Brighton. So, you know what? Liverpool could be losing some points here, people, as well. So if Van Dijk can get a 4-match ban, well, I'm going to feel a lot better. And maybe it's not good news, because actually I think it's a big overreaction by referees, and I actually worry that Bruno Fernandes is going to end up getting a 10-match ban, because Bruno likes to shout at the referees. And if Bruno Fernandes ends, I think now that Van Dijk's getting a big ban for that, I think, the next thing they're going to be giving Bruno Fernandes a big ban for this for no reason. But this is particularly, I think, positive news, because, I mean, at the end of the day, if Man United are miserable, let's just hope Liverpool are miserable new. Scott McTominay news, we'll get, I'll quickly repeat that in a second as well, but they did beat Newcastle with 10 men. But the thing is, if Man United are going to be a mess this season, as long as Liverpool aren't any better, at least it's more tolerable. Do you get what I'm saying as well? Straight red is a 3-match ban anyway? No. So a straight red for violent conduct is a 3-match ban, but if it's a straight red for denying a goal-scoring opportunity, it's only a 1-match ban. So Van Dijk only got a 1-match ban for that, but it's now going to be turning into a 4-match ban, which hopefully means Liverpool are screwed. And we've got someone's put in the chat, any actual news? Now I get that, because I feel like I've said so many news shows where you're like, is this actual news? But there is actual news. Confirmed by Ornstein and Romano, we've put in an actual bid for Cucurella on loan. We're having negotiations with Chelsea, and there's a feeling that Cucurella should be done deal over the line soon. That is actual news coming out from actual sources on that situation. So there are actual news coming out, and Virgil van Dijk potentially getting a 4-match ban, people. Cannot complain as well. And do you know what's mad is, Liverpool fans would be the first to say, oh, Bruno's having a go at a referee, he should have a 4-match ban. Van Dijk gets it. Ooh, Liverpool tears. Fabrizio Romano has said that United are only working on Cucurella as of now regarding left backs. Reguilon is an option. Tagliafico is an option, and Marcos Alonso is an option, but that's been told it's not going to happen. Rico Henry is an option, but Cucurella is seeming to be the one advancing, and Cucurella was the first one we're linked to, so he was obviously the priority target as well. Don't play Liverpool to December so it doesn't affect us, and remember they beat Newcastle way about, and they did. The only thing is, pray Liverpool lose, pray Liverpool don't get a DM. And I thought Amrabat had been signed. I probably hyped up a bit too much that a Liverpool player got a 4-match ban. But look, if Man United aren't going to do anything, if Liverpool can just do bad things, it makes me feel better, which is a sad life, because really, if Manchester United weren't such a mess, I wouldn't be caring about what Liverpool are doing. United need to sort themselves out. Alice, are we getting any players and when? Okay, Manchester United are going to announce a new signing tomorrow. Actual fact, we are going to announce a new signing. A drum roll, people. Who's the new signing that Manchester United are going to announce tomorrow? A goalkeeper. So we are going to announce a new signing tomorrow, if that counts. Dean Henderson's going to be announced as a Crystal Palace signing tomorrow, reportedly. So there's going to be two deals done tomorrow. So we're going to get some actual news. Cucurella should be announced as a new signing by the end of the transfer window, as long as Chelsea don't try and charge us an absolute extortionate amount for Cucurella. And then we've said, once that is all done and dusted, United are going to make a bid for Amrabat and get that deal done. The report, and Romano has said this as well, left back, goalkeeper, midfielder. Man United want a left back, goalkeeper, midfielder before the end of the window. Goalkeeper is done. He's at Carrington. He's at Atley Bayende has been sitting at Carrington for about 5 days thinking, Dean Henderson, can you hurry up with Belay Medical? That is going to be done and announced tomorrow. Cucurella should be done, if not another left back. And then it's midfielder. Now, a midfielder should be done. A midfielder, if we were run by anyone that wasn't the Glazers, a midfielder would in fact be done. It's, the fact that we 100% need a midfielder, there's some good ones out there on the market for a good price, and it's such a priority and it's still not done, is mind-boggling. Any other team in this situation would have bought a midfielder by now. Even Liverpool went out and signed Endo just so they have a DM. Even though they missed out on Moises Caicedo and Lavia, they made sure they signed Endo just so they had a DM. We need to sign a midfielder just so we have one, because we need one. So Amrabat, there is a feeling that it is left back, goalkeeper, Amrabat. I don't think Todibo will happen. I don't think Maguire will leave. I think McTominay could leave. Now, the only way I think we get some surprise deals in is if McTominay leaves. I think that is the only way we maybe see United getting some surprise deals done as well. And did I give you the fingers? I didn't mean to give you the fingers. as well. The only way I see some surprise deals happening is if McTominay leaves. And for the person in the chat that asked me, Alice, what's going on with Scott McTominay? What is the Scott McTominay situation? Bayern want McTominay. I'm telling you this now. Like, the Bayern McTominay links are serious. Like, Bayern generally have a pretty big interest in Scott McTominay. That those links are serious. So I know English media are playing down McTominay to Bayern Munich. Maybe Man United sources are telling English media to play this down because if it doesn't go through, there'll be fan outrage. But serious, good sources are saying, look, this Bayern Munich interest in McTominay is genuine. Like, Thomas Tuchel likes McTominay. Thomas Tuchel also sees Scott McTominay as the top number 6 for Bayern Munich, which is particularly concerning from the Bayern Munich side because he's not a 6 and he's probably a Goretzka and they want to get rid of Goretzka. But that's not my problem. That's Bayern Munich's problem. And I think, actually McTominay would probably be quite good in the Bundesliga if he's utilised and used properly. If they're playing him as a 6, he won't be utilised and used properly. But look, this is what I say with Scott McTominay. I think, this McTominay leaving is heating up. If McTominay leaves, then yeah, there's Gravenberch, there's Amrabat, there's movement. Right now, Bayindir, Cucurella, potentially a midfielder. McTominay leaves, you're looking at potentially 2 midfielders on top of Bayindir and a left back. Potentially any leftover funds could maybe go towards Todibo because Ten Hag doesn't want to play Maguire, but he might have to with Varane's 6-week injury. Please, Varane, could you just stay fit? There's a lot going on at United right now, and I generally will say this to you guys: keep an eye on McTominay. There's 3 days left. 3 days left until the transfer window shuts. 3 days and about 3 hours till the transfer window shuts. This McTominay thing, I think it's going to heat up. I generally believe it's going to heat up, and it's going to heat up soon. I generally believe as well. Anthony says, "Are we doomed or are we screwed?" Well, it depends on Amrabat. I think we're screwed with that. If we're screwed anyway this season, just with injuries and the fact that the Glazers haven't gone. But I think, if we do some good business, we're not screwed. I don't think we will do this good business. But if we don't actually get a midfielder in, then maybe we are doomed as well. Alice, we already know that as soon as we sell Henderson, we'll go for Amrabat. The way you're talking, you think you're breaking some insane news. All right, we might not go for Amrabat once Dean Henderson's sold because it's Man United. Like, you can't expect us to do anything that makes sense. But that is the feeling as well. Alice is the messenger. We never shot the messenger. We need to hit the Glazers on top of the head with a pan or something so much harder to get them out, and then United will run like a team. You know what? Whoever we sign, whoever we sell, I don't care. I do care. That was a lie. But whoever we sign, whoever we sell, really, at the end of the day, isn't the most important thing. The most important thing at Manchester United is getting those rats, vermin, little leeches called Avram and Joel Glazer out of this club, nowhere near this club, and with no control of finances of this club ever again. You can sign someone, we can sell someone, cool. But I don't want to go by any longer. I don't want any more time to go by with Avram and Joel in charge. For me, Avram and Joel are the problem. And Fabrizio Romano actually came out with some news on the takeover, actually. We've got a little bit of a takeover update here. And Fabrizio Romano just said, regarding the takeover of Manchester United, sources from Qatar have remained very quiet despite reports coming out that Qatar are in the lead. The Qatar sources are choosing not to comment on that, and this may be because of the non-disclosure agreement signed regarding the United takeover. Now, Neil Custis, obviously of The Sun, who does have a source to a major shareholder at United, and although Neil Custis works for The Sun, and Neil Custis did this big report that the Qatari takeover was close and it was going to be finalised October, November, and that Qataris were doing due diligence ahead of another bid, no one reliable has confirmed that. But an interesting thing is that Neil Custis' source is a top shareholder on the United stock market who has connections to the New York Stock Exchange. And obviously, a lot of the leaks aren't coming through Qatar and aren't coming through Sir Jim Ratcliffe. A lot of the leaks coming out right now is from the Rain groups. The initial leaks that Sir Jim Ratcliffe was in the lead was actually from the Rain group, kind of growing frustrated. And then obviously Qatar put in that big bid to stop Sir Jim Ratcliffe winning. And then that big bid just caused this takeover to hit an absolute pause. But Neil Custis' source is probably someone who's a major shareholder on the stock exchange who may have links to the Rain group. So although I'm not going to actually get giddy or believe any takeover news, and as things stand, honestly, it's just the Glazers delaying the deal and hoping Qatar put in a bigger bid. And I don't know if Qatar are going to put in a bigger bid, but I do think, the Rain group are incredibly frustrated. The Rain group came out and actually leaked that they felt like Man United were going to sell something that wasn't actually a sale. But all the leaks come out from the Rain Group. The Rain Group will leak to major shareholders. Neil Custis has a link to a major shareholder who's obviously given him information and reason to believe that Qatar will win and that actually Qatar are doing due diligence. However, then Qatari sources are saying they're in the dark, which is so confusing. But actually what I've noticed with this takeover news is it's who you ask and it's when you ask it. Because David Ornstein said this a couple of months ago. He said one day you ask the Glazers what's going on with the takeover, they'll say Sir Jim's in the lead. The next day you ask them what's going on with the takeover, they'll say Qatar's in the lead. The next day you ask them what's going on with the takeover, they'll say they're staying. David Ornstein said the reason he's not spoke much on the takeover is because every time you ask what's going on, they'll give you a different answer. They clearly don't want you to know what's going on, and that's why non-disclosure agreements were signed. And I think David Ornstein was absolutely spot on and accurate when he said that. They clearly don't want us to know what's going on with the takeover. They clearly are keeping this quite secretive for a reason with all these non-disclosure agreements. But I think a lot of this news on the takeover is who you ask, when you ask them, all of this stuff. Because what I found to be particularly interesting is I know someone with a Qatari source, and this Qatari source has given very positive indications to this person that I know that they feel like they're going to take over United. Now, this was 2 months ago when it looked really positive. There was going to be Qatari and Rio Ferdinand was going on with stuff. But this Qatari source was given also called a positive indication, like, yeah. But then other people are saying, the Qataris are saying that they don't know what's going on, they're lost in the dark. So I think, again, no one knows what's going on because some Qatari sources are saying we're confident, other Qatari sources are saying we're lost in the dark, and maybe they're saying that because of the NDA. Jim Ratcliffe's camp has just basically said they're lost and they don't have a clue. And Jim Ratcliffe's just absolutely clueless. And then obviously the Rain Group is saying, well, they don't know what the Glazers' ulterior motive is. It's like they're selling something that isn't a sale. But the actual one or two credible reports that have come out from, like a source that would just in the know, is that the hold up. And this is the only thing that you can believe. Because there's so many stories on Qatar, there's so many stories on Sir Jim that I just say take it all with a pinch of salt. Even if it came from Mike Keegan at this rate, you have to take it with a pinch of salt. But the one story you can believe, because this has come from, and we know this to be confirmed, is the reason for one of the reasons for the delay is that the 4 Glazer siblings that are like Kevin and Darcy and Brian and the irrelevant ones, who are now more relevant to me because they want to do the right thing, want to sell to Qatar. They're ready to get rid of the club. They want to sell to Qatar. But these 2 big Avi Joel absolute words that I cannot say on live stream because I would get banned from YouTube Glazers, they obviously aren't. They're like, well, there's not much between this Qatar offer. There's not much between the Sir Jim offer. We've asked for 6 billion. Qatar have bidded 5.3 billion. We ain't selling. And that's what they're like. So the 4 Glazers saying, well, 5.3 billion, let's just sell. Joe and Avram are like, no, we can get more. 6 billion to Qatar is like me and you forking out £50 on a jacket. It's not much to Qatar. But the principle of Qatar is Qatar have said our last bid is a take it or leave it bid. That is our last bid. That is our last offer. It's a take it or leave it bid. So, if Qatar come back in and cave and bid 6 billion, then every time Qatar want to do business with someone else, they'll say, well, look, they caved with the Glazers. The Glazers got their way. But the Glazers believe that Qatar are going to cave because the Glazers have said, look, this is Qatar's 5th bid. Qatar's take it or leave it offer was their 4th or 5th bid. They put in 1 bid, they put in a 2nd bid, they put in a 3rd bid. There was reports that Sir Jim Ratcliffe was going to win, they put in a 4th bid. Then there was reports that Sir Jim Ratcliffe was close to winning, they put in this 5th take it or leave it bid. It went quiet. The Glazers think, well, if they put 5 bids in, they put 2 bids in, which they said they weren't going to put in because they were hearing that Jim Ratcliffe was going to win. What's not to say if we delay the deal and keep them in the dark, they're going to put another bid in. And that is what reports are coming out saying, well, actually, Qatar are doing due diligence ahead of another bid, and that Joe and Avram, that's what they're waiting for. But then other sources saying Qatar won't put in another bid because they've already got to pay $1 billion to clear the debt, $2 billion to do renovations, and that if they cave for buying United, they're going to suffer another business deal. So there's a lot of mixed things going on with the takeover, and honestly, it's just all this big conundrum right now as well. And keep it up, Alice. Big up everybody in the chat. Do smash the like button. Liverpool 10, United 0, 7-0 actually. And who cares if you win 7-0 when you don't win anything for it? We got our Carabao Cup. Fabrizio Romano's just tweeted apparently. What has Fabrizio Romano tweeted, people? I want to get into another news story actually. So I did a bit of a waffle there on the takeover, but I was trying to break it down as much as I could as well. And Fabrizio Romano tweeted 5 minutes ago that understood Man United have reached an agreement in principle with Cucurella on personal terms. green light arrived on the players' side. Man United won't negotiate for any other left back now as they want to get Cucurella done deal. So basically, guys, we've got some, I guess you could say, breaking news coming in. It's breaking news, but it's not particularly the most exciting breaking news. But Fabrizio Romano has just come in 4 minutes ago saying that understands Man United have agreement in principle with Cucurella. So Manchester United right now have officially agreed personal terms to sign Cucurella on loan. Personal terms are agreed. So we've put in the bid, bish bash bosh, that's done. Now personal terms are agreed between Manchester United and Cucurella. So at least that deal's advancing. At least things are going on there. And look, am I the biggest fan of Cucurella? No. Am I bothered if we sign him if it means we still get Amrabat? No. Look, if we get Cucurella, and it's not going to affect the Amrabat deal, like, I don't have a problem with whatsoever. I think he can help with build-up. I think he was a good player everywhere he went, bar Chelsea. But I think Chelsea ruined a lot of good players. So I don't think, it's the end of the world. But I think now that personal terms are agreed and we put an offer in, it's now up to Chelsea. But the only thing is, Chelsea will go, well, it's Man United knocking on the door. Chelsea will look at it and go, they're a direct rival. It's Man United knocking on the door. The only problem now going to Chelsea and asking for Cucurella is that Chelsea will go, all right, if it was Man City, we'd give them Cucurella straight away. It's United. They've put in a 2.5 million loan fee. We put in for Cucurella. Chelsea wants 7 million. That's the crazy thing. But at least personal terms happen to be for Cucurella. The goal is 300 likes, guys. We want 272 likes. So please do smash that like button. And of course, subscribe down below if you're new and share the video. We are waiting for embarrassment for Arsenal, Man City to realise how bad Man Utd is. Makes no sense. No idea what you're saying as well. No idea what you're saying, but I'm scrolling through the chat as well. Personal terms agreed for Cucurella. That is the breaking news. Fabrizio Romano just tweeted. Someone says take a breath as well. And Alice, Jim Rat caused a setback on the takeover process. If he hadn't mentioned the Glazers should take some shares, the Qataris would have been favoured. Exactly. One of the reasons for the delay in the takeover is because Sir Jim Ratcliffe is offering the Glazers an opportunity to stay, which is effectively causing the divide between the Glazer siblings, because 4 of them are just like, no, just get rid of the club. Like, we've been here long enough. And then the other load of the Glazer siblings are like, oh, but we've got an opportunity to sell Manchester United here. We could sell Manchester United here. La-di-da, la-di-da, la-di-da. Alex B says he can't see Qatar putting another bid. Way too much other expenditure needed on top of the purchase as well. It makes no sense for Qatar to put another bid. Some sources say they will, but again, not too bothered. FSG in as well. I hope he cuts his hair, Cucurella. I'm not gonna lie, it's not the nicest hairstyle I've ever seen, is it? Not a big fan of the long hair as well. 7 million is that rumour? No, Laurie Whitwell said that Chelsea want a 7 million loan fee, and Laurie Whitwell is a very credible journalist. Like, Chelsea are being very unreasonable with Cucurella and saying, please give us 7 million or we might not sell him, which makes no sense as well. Alex B says, let's hope a loan fee to Chelsea. Not ridiculous, wasn't keen on the left back, but needed some more. Delo was our primary left back, would mean no right back depth. Yeah. I think I'm not keen on left back, it's not priority, but let's hope the loan fee isn't ridiculous so we can get that DM over the line as well. Alex Cucurella is not relevant left back. He's not been valued by Chelsea. Look, I think he'll be an all right signing. I don't think he's a good player. I don't think he's a bad player. He's just like a meh. When you're just like meh. But if he comes to United, I'm going to back him. He's going to be a United player. I'm going to give him my respect. Could back him. I hope he thrives. He was a good player at Brighton. He was a good player before he went to Brighton. He was a bad player at Chelsea. Everyone was a bad player at Chelsea, despite he is Chelsea's third choice, though. So, yeah, filled the team with injury-prone and inconsistent players. Shaw, Varane, Rashford, Anthony, who all make millions every year. Things have to change at the club. Partly agree, partly disagree. But, yeah, I think the one thing we need to do is we need to sign players that aren't injury-prone. And I think consistency is a team issue. I think we are inconsistent because the team itself is inconsistent because we're not getting our business right. I think we would be more consistent if we got our business right. But basically, we have a squad right now that's a good squad and it could be a great squad, but we're not doing what we need to do to make it a great squad. And we're going at this with the complete wrong approach to just make this good squad regress. And that is because of the lack of knowledge and the ownership, the lack of competence at the club. I think there's so many things that Manchester United could do that would be so beneficial to the club. I think, Marcus Leonard, young striker, 15 million. Gift Orban's available for 20 million. He can play left wing, right wing, centre forward, could give some versatility, could give some much needed depth of attack, but also that would allow Facundo Pellistri to go out on loan and get that loan move that he desperately craving and Sheffield United want, because Pellistri, as good as he is, and with Anthony's iffy form, it'd be nice to see Pellistri get some minutes in, 100%. But at the same time, for Pellistri, if he could play week in, week out in the Premier League and then come back to United, he'd be in a much better position, because at the end of the day, Ahmad is back from injury next month. Bringing someone like Gift Orban, allow Pellistri to go out on loan, bringing someone like Marcus Leonardo if he can't get Gift Orban. Both of those are strikers and versatile forwards for the young. They give us more depth that are all going to be £15 million, which I think is affordable. Amrabat is £21 million and Gravenberch is available on loan. The way I see it is get Amrabat should be in here to replace Fred. Amrabat shouldn't be dependent on outgoings. Amrabat's a £21 million deal. Gravenberch is a loan deal, and Gift Orban's a £15 million deal. I think, United should be looking at those three. Unfortunately, Maguire won't leave, so we can't bring in Todibo. But, potentially if McTominay goes, on top of those three signings that we make, United could go, actually, let's see if we can get Todibo. Or see if we could get this player. But instead, we're obsessed with second goalkeepers, left backs, and Højbjerg. And Højbjerg, for me, makes no sense whatsoever as well. Shaw, Varane, Mount all out for 6 weeks. Yeah, it was like cursed as well. It's all going backwards. That's the worrying thing. I think Lindelof would have been a better replacement for Varane rather than Cucurella. Well, Cucurella's not a Varane replacement. He's a Luke Shaw replacement. Varane will be back end of September, maybe October. Luke Shaw is not expected back until December, because the thing with Luke Shaw, and this isn't Luke Shaw's fault, and I know people complain about Luke Shaw being injury prone, but that leg break that Luke Shaw got almost stopped Luke Shaw playing football again. The leg break Luke Shaw got was so severe that they thought he might never be able to play football again. The fact that he plays football again is unbelievable. So he's of course going to be more injury prone because that leg break Luke Shaw got was so bad, and the muscle around where Luke Shaw broke his leg is reportedly what is injured. So the reason when Man United were first assessing Luke Shaw's injury, they're saying it could be weeks or months, but United hoping for weeks, is because they knew it was around the leg break, but then they needed to assess it. And Man United could bring Luke Shaw back in 3-4 weeks, but that could stress his leg break, which could mean he could be out for 6-7 months if that got stressed. So United are like, well, actually, we might have to do something with Luke Shaw where maybe he can play in 2 months, but we've got to keep him out for 3 months because this leg break is such a sensitive thing. So I think that might be why we're going for Cucurella, because there's reports that actually Man United don't want to even risk bringing Luke Shaw back until Christmas time. So even though Malacia is back in a month and Delo could play inverted and we've got Alvaro Fernandez, United think it's more valuable to loan out Fernandez and bring in Cucurella. I'd rather keep Fernandez, but that is United's decision. But the Luke Shaw leg break is such a delicate thing, which has kind of been said to be the problem as well. There's too many positional and depth issues to sort in one window. Years of poor business coming back to haunt us, and I think that's absolutely spot on. Chat the comment now as well. And Onana will be out soon at AFCON, and his replacement at Bayendir, no disrespect, he plays nothing like Onana. Alice, what about Malacia? Is he fit now? Malacia is reportedly back in September, so a couple weeks time after the international break. I actually did a what would you call it here? So this is what we know. Varane and Mount will be out for 6 weeks. Malacia, Shaw, Ahmed and Maino all suffered injuries that were going to set them out for months. But Malacia got injured about 2 months ago, so he should be back in a couple of weeks. Højlund is going on international break, so he should be fine. And I'm just waiting for news to come out that Martial's injured. I've just put Martial in there because I'm just waiting for news to come out to say that he's injured as well. Alex B says Shaw into his late 20s as well. If this will be an ongoing issue, he will need proper cover, which again is true. I like Malacia and I think he can be reliable, but is he quite that level as well? Kevin Duff says the 6 billion price tag is the problem. Had the Glazers set the price at the value of 3.1 billion, the New York Stock Exchange set, we'd have had several different bidders buying the club outright, possibly new owners by now. It's crazy. I reckon we would have got loads of bidders, but the Glazers greed. And that is what the Glazers are, and I think this takeover almost sums up everything about the Glazers. What we know on the Glazers is it's just pure greed. They've always have been pure greed. It's the way they operate. Everything the Glazers do is greed. It's all about me, them. They're just greedy, horrible owners. And I can't wait until they're out of this football club as well. Malacia might surprise us with a run of matches. He had a decent spell when Leacher had extended break after Qatar. True. I actually think the thing about Malacia, and people don't realise this, is when we beat Liverpool at home, when we beat Man City at home, and when we beat Barcelona at home, and when we beat Arsenal at home, Malacia played in all 4 of those games. Malacia played in the 4 games at home. We beat Liverpool, Barcelona, Arsenal, and Man City. He played in all 4 of those wins, Malacia, at left back. He is capable of putting in a shift in a big game. I think there's vulnerabilities to Malacia's game, but I also think with Malacia, he never really gets a run of games because Luke Shaw is arguably the better left back. He's had injuries. He's not had a run of games. I think give Malacia a run of games. He's more than capable of playing at the top level and doing a shift at left back. People like Malacia and Wan-Bissaka, I say, they are good fullbacks. They're not fullbacks that are like top 3 in the league fullbacks, But, you know, as bench options, as rotation options, if you have a player like Malacia and Wan-Bissaka, I always think there's a good player in them. You know, same with Dalot. I think Dalot, Malacia, Wan-Bissaka are all really good fullbacks, but they're not great fullbacks. I think Wan-Bissaka has been great this season. You know, great fullbacks are, you know, your Premier League, your Champions League winning fullbacks that we don't quite have at the club at the moment, but they can just do a job of fill in. And I think that Malacia, I see a few people on Twitter, certain accounts that I won't name, sort of saying, oh, can we sell Malacia? And I'm thinking, well, Malacia had 2 or 3 poor games towards the end of last season, but actually Malacia had more good games than bad games last season. But I see a lot of people saying, oh, can we sell Malacia? Malacia this, Malacia that, which personally, I don't understand. What about Lamptey? Well, Lamptey's one of those players that fell off. Lamptey has a bit of a crazy injury record and just massively fell off, to be honest, which is a shame because I did like Lamptey. I thought Lamptey was a very good player, but again, he massively fell off as well. Rebuild says Martial's a dud. Overall, one of the worst transfers of the last decade. We've Mason Howlers. I think Martial, you know, we've had 2 good seasons out of him out of about 7. So, look, I think the thing about Martial was that first season he had and the NHS season, he was fantastic. And I do think that if Martial hadn't got the injuries and you know, sorted himself out, there would have been a fantastic player in Martial. But I don't hate on the Martial transfer at all, because I actually still think, and people will disagree with me on this, but I still think we're a better team when Martial plays. I generally do. And the reason I'm going to say that is because, well, when Martial comes on, he can do things that Rashford can't do. Martial playing striker allows Rashford to play left wing. Martial playing striker means he can hold up the ball and play with his back to goal. Was Martial good versus Forest? No. But was Martial bad versus Forest? No. Martial at striker, I think he's gone, his legs are gone, but I think he's always someone that can put in that solid 6 out of 10 performance. Martial very much came on and he held the ball versus Nottingham Forest. He held the ball, he controlled the ball versus Nottingham Forest. You know, played with his back to goal, kept, you know, possession in the final third. In the first 2 games of the Premier League, no team lost possession more times than United, and no team lost possession more times than United in the final third. We lost possession in the final third more than any other team against Tottenham, and of course in that opening game against Wolves, because Rashford can't play like that. Anthony can't play like that. Garnacho can't play with that. Martial instantly coming on and playing was someone that can keep the ball when it's in the final third and then pass it on. And that's what Martial offers to United. It's not much, it's the bare minimum. Any striker should be able to do that, but we're in a situation where we're so poor and so limited on depth and striker, and we signed Højlund that's injured, that actually we're expecting the bare minimum for players. And a club like Man United shouldn't be expecting the bare minimum for players, but that was important what Martial brought, and he is going to actually be an important player this season, but, you know, just because we don't have anyone that can do that other than Martial and Højlund. And Højlund, as much as I like him, the kid's 19. Lamptey's a right back that's injury prone as well. We don't need Højbjerg. No. Do you know what's confusing me? Højbjerg. I keep wanting to say Højlund when I'm talking about Højbjerg, and I'm really worried that one day someone's going to think I'm being critical about Højlund when I'm actually being critical about Højbjerg. But I'm going to tell you why I don't think Højbjerg will happen. I actually replied to a tweet earlier today. I'm just going to go and find it because I can't be asked to search it up. This was it. So it was said by Jack Talbot, who is a decent source of information. But Manchester United have started talks with Tottenham and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg's side over a possible deal. Spurs want around 35 million, given United are a Premier League rival. So 35 million, that's my point. Amrabat is quoted to be between 20 to 25 million. You're saying that Højbjerg's probably going to be about 12 million more than Amrabat. So Højbjerg, who we've not looked at all window that Tottenham Hotspur are desperate to sell and can't even get to a Tottenham Hotspur side, is 12 million more than Amrabat. So I just said, considering Amrabat is cheaper, I'd be shocked if we signed Højbjerg. I would be. I'm not worried about this because I think, when would United go for the more expensive option? If you've got Amrabat for 25 million and Højbjerg for 35 million, when would United ever go for the more expensive option? Other than Anthony and Gakpo, but that was because Ten Hag wanted Anthony and not Gakpo. He wanted Anthony more than Gakpo. We went for Anthony over Gakpo, who was more expensive. But, you know, I don't believe that Ten Hag wants Højbjerg more than Amrabat, because we know from Romano that Ten Hag 100% wants Amrabat. So I'm not worried too much about the Højbjerg. I think maybe it's agent talk. I think it's a little bit of talk going on there. But I actually think, and if he's going to be 35 million and Amrabat's going to be 25 million, I'd be very shocked if United fought the cash out. And if United do fought the cash out on Højbjerg, and Ten Hag suddenly wants Højbjerg more than Amrabat, then we really do need to get that director of football in ASAP, because Ten Hag's talent ID has been, I can't lie, I don't want to be negative, but it has been a little bit on the particularly concerning side in recent days as well, hasn't it? So look, I'm not too worried as well. Big up NS Sports TV in the chat as well. I think Man United should at least go for Gravenberch. I agree. If there's a loan deal, we should be all over it if there's a loan deal as well, because that's not even going to affect FFP as well. Højbjerg, slightly older and somewhat more expensive than Amrabat. It makes no sense. Exactly. I'd be really shocked if we did go for him. For me, there's very little sense is involved in that deal as well. And Højbjerg is agent speaking, trying to generate interest. He was offered to United and they rejected it. It's not club interest. Yeah. I mean, Romano said there might be some interest there, but I think it is just agent talk. Again, I'm not too worried about Højbjerg. I don't think it will happen. I'm still going to think that Amrabat's the priority as well. But yeah, the breaking news, guys, that came out about 15 minutes ago is that Cucurella has agreed personal terms to join United. Besiktas are set to complete a 6-month loan deal for Mason Greenwood as well. That's reports coming out as well. So Greenwood could be going to Besiktas on a 6-month loan deal. And you know what I'm really jealous of is Burnley and Brentford are looking at this really good right winger from the Eredivisie for like £15 million. I just think, why can't United do deals like that as well? Question for you guys in the chat before I get into the next story. Who would your right back choice be? Would you go for Tagliafico? Would you go for Spinazzola? Would you go for Cucurella? Would you go for Reguilon? Would you go for Rico Henry? Would you go for Alonso? Actually, if you had to choose which left back we got on loan, realistic left back we got on loan, so don't be saying like whoever the best left back in the world is. I don't know who that is actually. Just tell me like which realistic left back you'd probably sign. I mean, maybe I'd go with Tagliafico, but because I think he's been all right at Lyon. But actually, if we're going to sign a Lyon player, it's got to be Cucurella or Cherki. Ryan Cherki and Maxim Cucurella, they, again, players that we aren't looking at. Do you know what frustrates me about United? Enzo Laffi didn't bother looking at him. Cherki, Cucurella, these good players, we don't bother looking at. And I think that's so frustrating when there's so many good players there, like Laffi, and we just don't bother looking at him. And, who was that player? Oh, his name's left my mind. I'm thinking of another player and their name's just absolutely left my mind. It wasn't Laffi. But there's just so many, like Laffi was 20 million euros. I think he's a profile that would fit United well, but don't look at it. Maxim Cucurella, I think, is a profile that would fit us really well. We don't look at it. I think what really frustrates me at United is us as fans, we can come out with players that are in an affordable budget, 20, 30 million pounds that fit United's profile, and they go spend 55 million on Mason Mount. No disrespect, but I think Maxim Cucurella would fit Man United a lot better than Mason Mount. I think Enzo Laffi would have fit us a lot better than Mason Mount. I think what's he called that played at, is it PSV? What's his called? I don't know what his name is. Someone. So I think there's a player that I thought would have been really good for United and would have been quite cheap. I've completely forgot his name, but that's the frustrating thing. There's no disrespect to Mason Mount. I'm like, if 10 odd wanted him, I'm glad we signed him, but there was players out there for 20 to 30 million that I think were more the profile United needed as well. Multiple French journalists said Laffi wasn't ready for the Premier League. Yeah, maybe he wasn't. Maybe he wasn't as well, but I think it would have been a good deal. I did read that Bailly might be going to Saudi Arabia now. Hopefully he can hurry up and leave. Would love Spinazzola. He's good, but again, injury prone as well. And why are we linked to the rejects of all clubs? Then we'll go for Jota from Al, blah, 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 yeah. Or Calvin Phillips. What actually happened with Jota and his Saudi move? I don't know. Maybe he was a bit fruity or something, because he went to Saudi for a month and then left. Maybe he just wanted a month's salary. But they wanted to get rid of him, which something must have gone on there as well. But Martial had the best season of his career on Ollie. He did. And he had a good season under Van Gaal as well. But kind of want to get into a few more stories before I round up. I'm doing an extra long live stream at the moment because there's just been a lack of live streams. So, yeah. Beef. Benji, the Inter fan, is coming. Pavard has just posted this while flying to Milano in order to complete his move. Benjamin Pavard is done like a snake emoji. What's that? Well, Benjamin Pavard's commented loads of snake emojis, and Inter. Is he going to snake Inter for United? I doubt it. But that's weird. Benjamin Pavard putting weird things on his Instagram story tonight with snake emojis. Maybe he's annoyed at United. Heard Varane's injured. Or we might go for you now as well. And Cucurella at the moment, if he is a success, he could save us a few quid when Qatar eventually take over the club. Then Erik ten Hag and the new recruitment team can concentrate on other areas of the pitch. Yeah, potentially. Hopefully that would be the situation. Just don't trust United to do that. Martial always been injury prone, just went to another level worse than Ollie had him playing through injuries. Yeah, the thing about what Ollie did is Ollie played Martial through injuries, so Martial could never recover from his injuries. So when Martial was playing, he wasn't fully fit. So when he was playing badly, which knocked his confidence. and then also makes them more injury prone, which has just been this big negative. Arsenal have just loaned out Nuno Tavares to Nottingham Forest people. That is a done deal completed. Here we go as well. Interesting fact on Marc Cucurella is that he worked as an inverted left back and could actually play in the midfield. So maybe that's why we're going for Cucurella. We're thinking, oh, we could play in the midfield if we don't get Amrabat. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Let me just check this source before I start freaking out. Okay, so I don't think it's a good source. He's got 4,000 followers. Okay, this is an interesting story that's just come out here. This is an interesting story, but the source doesn't look credible. Maybe this. I think this could be Amrabat's agent trying to speed the move. So it's just come out now that Atletico Madrid is re-emerging as a contender to sign Amrabat, and Fiorentina may even lower the price. So there are reports coming out that Atletico Madrid are looking to potentially sign Amrabat, and Fiorentina may lower the price. I'm hoping that this is agent talk. Man United, hurry up. Fiorentina are going to lower the price. But the reason Atletico can't get Amrabat is because they didn't sell De Paul to Saudi. And the reason Man United can't get Amrabat is because they can't sell Donny. But maybe Atletico are the type of people that go, this is too good of a player to miss out on. We'll get him if they lower the price, even though we can barely afford him. Man United wouldn't do that because United can't get anyone. So this is interesting. However, this source, again, look, I mean, it could be a really good source, but he worked for that company and they put out so much crap. So much crap. He's got 4,000 followers. No one that I know follows him. So I honestly think that this is just a story that Amrabat might go to Atletico Madrid, wind up some United fans, get clicks. I don't think there'll be much in that story as well. I think I think it could be media. Source isn't too reliable as well. But you know what? Part of me would think if Atletico seriously made a move for Amrabat, maybe United would hurry in and put a bid. Maybe it would scare United to put a bid. But I think this is agent talk. I wouldn't be surprised if Amrabat's agents start putting out their deals really close to Atletico to maybe just get United to hurry up because it's just gone on so long. It has been said by reports coming in just now that United may have to terminate Mason Greenwood's contract before Friday night if he's to have the best chance of securing a move to a reputable Premier League, European League. So Man United might actually have to terminate Greenwood's contract. The thing is, if Man United were organised with Greenwood and put him out on loan at the start of the window, he'd be playing for a club right now. So that's on Manchester United there. But Greenwood apparently is close to a move to Turkey. And his contract might be terminated. His news coming out as well. But I think the Amrabat story is, of course, all agent talk. I think that when this source has got 4,000 followers, I think it's just a bit of a game. And as Nick said, it's a crap source. But it is concerning that Amrabat was linked to La Liga since last season, baffling the delays for such a cheap deal. This is the thing. There's our reports saying United generally don't want Amrabat. And I'm like, well, maybe we don't because it's such a bargain deal. There's no explanation for why we haven't gone in for Amrabat. But at the same time, why would Amrabat be doing this and this and that to force a move to United if United generally weren't interested in signing Amrabat? You look at it, it makes no sense for United to kind of delay this deal, delay this kind of move, does it? So it's all pretty mad at the moment regarding Manchester United stuff as well. Guys, please do smash that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Share the video as well. Can we hit 400 likes? I'm doing a double live stream because I didn't do a live stream 2 days ago and then I did a half-an-hour live stream yesterday. So I was doing like a 2-in-1 double live stream, especially because there's just a lot to talk about with it being transfer deadline as well. And Orkun Koku would have been a good signing for our midfield, says MK. That was the guy I was thinking of. I was trying to think of a name for Feyenoord. Why was I saying PSV? That was the guy. Orkun Koku, Enzo Lafia, Max and Kakare were all like cheaper than man. They were the 3 names I was thinking of. It's back to me now as well. Atletico, the type of club to spend 144 million on João Felix and then loan it to Chelsea because they can't afford it. Literally true. João Felix still hasn't gone. João Felix is linked to Liverpool. I think João Felix will have a deadline day move. There's no way João Felix is staying at Atletico. The thing is, with the situations going on, there's no way Amrabat's staying at Fiorentina, and there's no way João Felix is staying at Atletico. That doesn't mean they're going to end up at Manchester United, but there's definitely things that are going to happen with those deals because there's no way on earth they would be staying at their actual clubs right now. But I want to talk quickly about the Arsenal game before I end the video, and if any news comes out, But I want to talk about actually the depth we have right now with injuries, and is this a point for concern? We'll probably play a 4-3-3, won't we? So right now we've got Onana in goal, and then we'll put. I've actually put it in. Right now we've got Onana in goal, who's fit, and we've got Wan-Bissaka, and we've got Lindelof because Varane's injured, and Martinez. And Lindelof and Martinez, I think, will work fine. I think Lindelof's actually quite good on the ball. Obviously, left back, I think for now will be Delo because of Luke Shaw's injury and Malassia's injury. Casemiro will be DM. And I'm only naming the players that are fit, guys. It's obviously, this is like what we can do for Arsenal, basically. But Arsenal is September 3rd after transfer deadline day. So, you know, we can actually have a new signing to play against Arsenal, but that's a lot to ask of United. And of course, Bruno. So as you can see, the midfield's thin. Well, as things stand, we've still got Donny, but I'm going to put a star next to Donny here. And I'm going to put a star next to McTominay here because there's still a possibility that they might leave, in all honesty, as well. And then if you look at attack, Højlund could be on the bench, but right now it'll probably be Martial, Højlund, but we're going to put a star next to him just because he's probably not fit to start. Anthony, I guess right now we've got Pelistri, who might go out on loan, so we'll put a star next to him, and then we've got Sancho. Ahmad's obviously injured, and then we've got Rashford, and then we've got Garnacho. So these are kind of our options right now, but this is effectively our side because right now, we could probably put Cucurella in here because I think Cucurella looks like it's going to be done before the Arsenal game, but we'll put Cucurella in brackets here. If we sign Cucurella and we sign Ulte Bayendir, yeah, who we will sign, and then obviously and all of that. But if you actually look at our squad right now, and you know, this is all we've got. This right now is all that we've got. That's not a lie. That is our squad for the next 6 weeks. If we don't get a midfielder in, and that was the point of doing this. That is our squad, and the star for Pelistri is because he might go. The star for Donny is because he might go, and McTominay is because he might go. I don't think Maguire will go. And the star for Højlund is because he's not fit. You know, obviously if Donny and McTominay go, there's a midfielder that comes in. But when you actually look at that, there aren't many options there. We're talking about a team that finished third last season, and we're helping to build on that and do great things. But you actually look at that United side, and you look at this whole situation, you're like, well, actually, there's not a whole lot there. There really isn't a whole lot there, and that is particularly concerning. But you know, it makes, you know, and the lack of backup for Casemiro is massive. So if we go and if you just instantly by adding Amrabat, it just looks like there's so much there. Instantly by adding Amrabat to that, there looks like there's so much more there. And look, if McTominay goes, Gravenberch goes in. If Donny goes, maybe Gravenberch could happen, but it's still particularly thin with injuries right now. And the fact that we're not scrambling to get this Amrabat deal, it makes absolutely no sense to me, people, as well. Absolutely no sense. Crazy how fast we move on transfers when a player gets injured, but we can't buy a player in midfield because we have too many. It's crazy. We've got 2 midfielders injured and Maino and Mount. We can't be bothered. Luke Shaw's injured. We can't be bothered. You know, we weren't going to sign a midfielder all of January despite Tenard wanting one. Ericsson gets injured. We sign Sabitzer in a day. It's United. United can sign a player like that. You know, don't doubt United's capabilities. They can sign a player like that. But yeah, New Happiness said he played Gore in the first one next to Casemiro. We do have Gore and Meshby, but can't see them playing much as well. At this rate, play with Donny van der Beek. I am worried about Arsenal as well. We're 1 injury away from Maguire at the moment, which is particularly scary. I mean, we're very just injury central as well. And Amrabat would be perfectly suited for the Arsenal game. Case going to be lost on his own. Saka going to rip the lower apart. Literally, and we're at the Emirates. And United at the Emirates I don't like it when we go to the Emirates. We always have a tough game at the Emirates. When we play Arsenal at Old Trafford, I believe that we're going to win. When we play Arsenal at the Emirates, I believe we're going to lose. It has just come out right now, people, from good sources, that there could be several incomings and outcomings at Old Trafford before the window closes, and that Bayern have indicated they won't pay 45 million for McTominay, but they're still very much interested in him. So Bayern might pay 35 million for McTominay. So we've got good sources saying that Bayern to McTominay is expected to move, and there is expected to be movement in the transfer window. So as I am going to say, because I am going to wrap up the live stream here, please do smash that like button. Of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. If you do want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United transfer news, updates and more, make sure you're subscribed. Share the video because there should be some updates on Scott McTominay, people. Thank you for watching. See you next time. And of course, bye.